Welcome to the Mindful Business Podcast, where we have conversations about building businesses with our mental and physical health in mind. So our setup looks a little bit different today because our guest is joining us all the way from Brisbane, Australia. She is an accredited dietitian with over 20 years experience and got her master's degree in nutrition at Stellenbosch in 2011. These days, she works in private practice and focuses on women in perimenopause and menopause. Welcome to the Mindful Podcast, Lizalet.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
It's such a pleasure. So today we're not actually tapping into your knowledge as a dietitian, but rather as a private practitioner and a business owner. So I guess to start off with, can you tell us a little bit about your journey as a private practitioner and then business owner as well over the last 5 years?
So yes, I think in the context of where I am in my life now, I'm in my 40s, and I have a young family, but my kids are a little bit more independent. So I started working in private practice about 5 years ago, which was a big change from working in a hospital setting as a clinical dietitian. And it just suited my lifestyle better, it suited my family life better with more flexible working hours. And I guess I was more in control of that. And I think that's the benefit of owning your own business, is that you do get to choose your own hours and work it around your family. So that worked a lot better for me. So yeah, I guess I was in a fortunate position that I could make that change, and I'm very happy that I did.
How old are your children when you made that shift?
So, well, the history of that is that we moved countries when my kids were very little. So I had like a 3-month-old when we moved from Ireland to Brisbane, and then I took a few years off. I had to redo my exams here in Australia to work here, and yeah, started working started going back to work so that's 5 years ago now. So I think my youngest was 4 and my eldest was 6. So yeah,
Sure.
that was the journey, yes.
And was that a big reason as to why you wanted to have a bit more control over your own time, because you had 2 little ones that you were also trying to look after?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Working in a hospital setting, obviously you have to do your 8 to 5, and you can't. The flexibility is just not there. So working in private practice just suited us a lot better. For me to be there for my young family.
Mm. So starting up a private practice, starting up a business, how did you even start to approach that?
Oh, well, I actually did it the easy way. I worked for myself, but in someone else's private practice for a while to learn the ropes, how to work in Australia and how their medical system works, Medicare here, how all of that works. So it's very fortunate that I got to work with a dietitian who took me under her wing and showed me the ropes and was really a mentor to me. So I did that for about 3 years, and then made the shift to do my own thing when I decided to only work with women in perimenopause and menopause, and I guess very selfishly so because that's where I find myself. So that kind of prompted that shift for me. So yes, I guess it was kind of a stepwise approach. I wasn't comfortable to just throw myself into private practice here before really learning about how that would work.
I think that that's such a nice way of going about it, because a lot of us start businesses not knowing anything and we have to learn on the go. And not saying that there's probably a few things that you still needed to learn when doing it on your own, but just having a mentor and a guide in the beginning stages where it is a lot less simple must have been an amazing benefit for sure. You mentioned that it was a selfish decision to move from kind of clinical dietitian or general practicing to perimenopause and menopause. And I think I disagree, because I think that that's like the perfect time for you to be specializing, is because you actually are going through it. I think it's hard for us to take advice from someone who we know can't relate to what we're going through. So I think that it wasn't selfish. I think it was very cleverly timed. And I assume that it's been beneficial.
Yes, I can definitely relate to my clients, and I know what it's like, and I know that things change for us as women in our 40s, and we need to approach lifestyle and nutrition and just life differently. Um, so it doesn't mean that we can't still do all the things. We just we need a little bit more, I think, more tools in our toolbox, basically. There's this saying that I absolutely love. It's actually quite funny. That says people should stop telling women that they can do everything, or they can do it all. We don't want to do it all. We want someone else to do it so we can go to the gym, or so that we can just rest, basically. So, yeah, I think once you hit your 40s, that really rings true, because you realize that you don't want to do all the things anymore, and we also don't have to, and we're allowed to ask for help, and we're allowed to get support, and yeah, to change our mind, basically, like make that career change, or reduce your hours if you can, or just take a break. Sometimes some women find that they need to just take a career break, or change careers, or yeah, I guess just find a way to really prioritize themselves in this stage of life is quite important, I think.
I like that saying as well about you don't have to do it all. I probably would like shift into you don't have to do it all alone and you don't have to
Yes,
do it all the same way. Like it can look very
yes,
different for you or for someone else who, we all have different aspirations and different goals and different lifestyles, like you said. But specifically for people over 40, I can imagine as well, you've gone through so much of life already. You don't feel like you need to tick all these boxes. You can tick
yeah,
ones you want to and add new ones if you want, but you don't have to do everything. And you
yeah.
mentioned that now being in that age group, you're kind of approaching life and dietary and various aspects of life differently. How would you say you've approached business differently as someone going into your 40s?
Oh, I'm just not allowing it to take over my life anymore. I'm not working late into the night. I am so protective of my sleep, because I know that if I don't sleep, and if I don't go to bed at 9 o'clock, then the next day is a write off. So and that's a big shift even from a year ago, where I had to almost experience hitting that wall where you go, okay, something's got to change, right? And I started making lots of changes in my life, not all at once, but gradually started to figure out what I needed to do in order to feel better and just function better in this stage of my life. And one of it was sleep. So I used to put the kids to bed and then go and sit in front of my computer and try to do some work, which I think is, quite normal. Lots of mums do that, because when else are you going to get
Mm.
that time for yourself? But I think I have now realized that it can wait. I know it can't always wait, and it's different for everybody. If you have a boss who's expecting you to hand your work in tomorrow or to get something done, it's different. But I guess I'm my own boss, so I've just decided it's not urgent, it can wait. So I do tell
Mm.
my clients, I will get back to you in 2 to 3 business days. Or if I see them on Monday, I say, look, I'll email you a summary and I'll get all the information to you by the end of the week. So I'm setting expectations.
Yeah, but
I'm
boundaries
not
at the same time.
Sorry, boundaries. Yeah, realistic expectations and boundaries at the same time. And everyone's okay with that. Like, nobody's breathing down my neck and going, why didn't you send this straight after the consultation? So everyone's super understanding if you just communicate. And so this definitely just not working late into the night. And also, um, when I get up in the morning, I just prioritize getting outside, going for a walk, doing something to make myself feel better. If I know that I'm going to spend the whole day in the clinic, sitting down indoors, I'll make sure that I get outside and move my body, and I know it's going to be a better day. So it's things like that that just make it more enjoyable. I love spending time with clients, but I can't do that if I'm not looking after myself, if I'm resenting that time, right? If I'm like, oh, I feel so tired, or I just feel like I'm not getting time to prioritize myself, then, it's kind of doesn't make sense to do it that way. So, yeah, I'm really, really trying to live by that. The same advice that I give my clients, I really try and do that myself. It's hard sometimes, of course, but
Yeah, we're not very good at taking our own advice. I was talking to
yeah,
my dad about it actually the other day. Um, and we were saying how we react quite differently. Both of us recently reacted to situations in a way that we would never advise our friends or our family to do so
Yeah.
as well. And we had to stop and be like, it's a lot harder when you've got to take your own advice.
Yeah, it's just human. I right. We're just human, but yeah, it's interesting once you realize that, right? At least you had the awareness, right, to realize that's what was happening.
And that awareness, so you said that there was a point where you kind of hit a wall. You've given us a little bit of a preview as to what a day in the life a year ago would look like, working late, not having as many boundaries. What was there a specific moment where you had that shift? Or, where did that inspiration to change come from?
I think the reason I went into this space, specifically working with women, is that there is a fundamental shift that happens in your 40s with hormonal changes, and it affects our mood, it affects our mental health, it affects our physical health. So things change, like whether you want to acknowledge it or not. And I think a lot of women, including myself, just ignore all the signs. So that's what I was doing. I was just thinking, look, I used to be able to stay up late and work, and what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this anymore? And then you
Let
start
me push
going,
through it.
yeah, you push through it, or you start really doubting yourself and going, am I just not capable anymore? Everybody else seems to be doing well and, thriving and getting through it. Why am I the only one struggling? Meanwhile, we're all struggling, but we're very good at hiding it. So yes, I started educating myself on it, and I did lots of courses. I read everything I could find on it, books, and did webinars, and just really educated myself on what is going on in this stage of life. And then, yeah, I went and spoke to a friend of mine who's a menopause GP, and I was just like, look, this is what I need to do now. I need to prioritize sleep. Like I said, the changes that I made, because I was just not, yeah, it was always feeling tired, just always tired, basically. And when you're tired, you just cannot. I just couldn't function, couldn't do the things that I would usually find easy or that would just come,
Mhm.
naturally to me. But yes, at that point was when I took a break. That's what I just took a break to reassess and
Yes, yeah. Kind of refamiliarize yourself with the new landscape that you're navigating
yeah,
now.
exactly. And I guess I was lucky that I could do that. I do realize that not everybody is can do that,
Mhm.
but I would definitely say for anyone who resonates with what I'm saying to just go talk to someone, go talk to your GP, or if you have a friend or anyone who's going through it, just reach out, open up, and it helps so much just to get it off your chest, and then also to get those lifestyle strategies that can help as well.
Did you find when you were looking into perimenopause and menopause and looking for resources in order to, one, understand what's going on, which don't even get me started on like our general knowledge about ourselves and our bodies. You and I have had vents about this in the past. Like, why is this not more widely, one, spoken about, two, known? Were resources and information quite easy to access, or did you have to dig around? Because we'd love some plugs if you've got a lot of our audience is in their 40s and probably going through these things as well. And I'm not sure how big of the conversation it is, at least here in South Africa. But if there are resources that are easily accessible, that would be amazing for them as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to. You can definitely link to it in your notes. But I think it's so important to follow the right people. Incredibly important to on social media, or to know who the experts are. So I listened to Dr. Mary Claire Haver. She's in the US. She's a obstetrician or an OB/GYN. That's what they call them in the States. And she is phenomenal in her like communication. She's also written a book called The New Menopause. That's like been a #1 bestseller in the States. And then there is a GP, Dr. Louise Newson in the UK, who's also pioneered this field. Yeah, and I think every country has their own guidelines. Like there is such a thing as a menopause society in every country, believe it or not. So you just have to know where to access, and also to go if your GP doesn't know anything about it. Like some GPs are just not comfortable to discuss it. You just have to find someone else who
The right
like you
one.
you you don't have to change GPs, but if you want to talk about perimenopause and menopause and your GP isn't comfortable to discuss it or doesn't know, I wouldn't say not comfortable, but maybe just doesn't have the knowledge, then just find a doctor
An
who is.
additional person. Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
100%. It's like trying to find a good hairdresser. You just got to keep looking until you find one that
Yeah.
matches you. Also, just like fits your vibe as well. So now being a business owner and being in private practice for a couple of years, but navigating this new landscape that we were talking about, what does that look like for you? How do you approach the day? What kind of new structure are you putting in place to make that? I don't want to say like it's not a compromise, but it's working with and not around your situation now. What does that look like on a day-to-day or general basis?
Yeah. So I'm lucky that I don't work full time. I've purposely I'm just working 2 clinic days and 1 admin day. So I've purposely done that so that I do have time to also do all the other things because I'm here in Australia by myself. I don't have any family here, and so yeah, just getting all the other things done. So kind of that work life balance that I think we're all chasing. That I can't say I have, figured out yet, but I'm trying. So
I
and I'm
don't
not.
know if any of us do actually figure it out. I was thinking about that yesterday too. Do we get to a point where we're like, yes, I've nailed it?
Well, I don't know, but we can certainly try, and I think that's what
Yeah.
you're trying to achieve as well, is get that message out there that how are different people in business navigating this, because different things work for different people. But for me, like, I do have the option to work more, but I'm choosing not to. And I think I learned that from a couple of my mentors, and people that I look up to, who just said to me, look, once you make yourself available full time, it's really hard to scale back. So just start off with the intention of giving yourself the time that you need if you can. Again, I'm no, not everyone is in that position. So yes, that's been crucial for me. And then also being available for the kids. So only one of those days I work a long day where they go to after school care, but the other day, that, like, the schools here only the school is school hours are 9 to 3. So I make sure that I can go and pick the kids up from school on the other day. So it's, yeah, I'm trying just not to just really not let it overwhelm me. Where before it was overwhelming, and I would
Mhm.
see an email come in and immediately respond, or feel very compelled to always be available.
Always be on,
And
yeah.
yeah, always be on. Where now I can read an email and go, that can wait till tomorrow. So a lot better at just prioritizing things and not making everything urgent, because
Yeah.
that unless you are working in an emergency department, unless you're working in a hospital setting and you're on call, that it's not urgent. If you yeah it's been a bit of a journey for me to get here. And also that sense of feeling like you don't want to disappoint people, you don't want to leave people waiting. But like I said, if you just set those boundaries and those expectations and let people know this is when you can expect to hear from me, everyone's okay. And you just remove that kind of urgency, I guess. That's
Yeah.
basically just ours alone, right?
But that's the thing too, is that because I've done the exact same thing, is I was like, oh my gosh, I have to reply to everyone in a very, timeliest manner. No one's really expecting that. We assume that they're expecting it, so we put that expectation on ourselves. But then it is, and you
Yeah.
get used to it more and more when you're like, okay, I'll get this to you by Friday. They're like, that's great. And you're like, oh, it is? I thought you were going to be disappointed. But they're often not. I mean, you still get, the 10% who, do believe that it's life or death for certain things. And then it's just navigating those people. But most of
Yeah.
the time, everyone's actually really understanding. And I think it's also because collectively, at least with the people that I work with, we're all dealing with the same approach and we're all managing it in the same way. A lot of the clients that I work with have the same mentality of me of like, it's fine, just breathe. Nothing is that hectic. Or we plan in
Yeah.
advance so that it's not that stressful. So I think that it does get easier the more you familiarize yourself and surround yourself with people that are on the same page.
Mm. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the end, that also ensures that you're enjoying your job and the longevity of your business, basically, that you don't burn out, because
Mm.
want to be doing this for a number of years, and you're passionate about your business, that ensures that you will continue to feel that way, right? But if you're continuously overwhelmed and stressed, that will mean
It's not
burnout eventually.
sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. There was something else I was thinking about when you were speaking, and again, we often excuse or apologize or kind of make there's a word I'm thinking of that I can't think of right now, but just kind of put a little note and saying I know not everyone can do this, and I think that um at least in this space of a conversation where we're primarily speaking to people who are self-employed or business owners or do come from a privileged space of being your own boss, I think everyone can actually do that. I think obviously it depends on your financial, your
Yeah.
expenses and your requirements and your lifestyle, but I think that some kind of balance is always achievable for someone who works for themselves. I don't see a single reason, and again, maybe it's naivety or I don't know enough about other people's setups, but if you are your own boss and you already have the privilege of being able to do that or set that up, I think balance should be able to come quite naturally, but we're wired in a way that we think that that's extra privilege. Like being a business owner is a privilege, but being a balanced business owner is like this bonus level that we strive to reach. And I think that I'd like that to change, because I think that what should come with being a business owner and being self-employed is naturally that balance and naturally that I've got more free time and I have more autonomy over everything that I do.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like whatever that looks like for you, because we do buy into just being busy all the time. And that's what we think we should be, right? If people ask us how we are, we say we're busy. And I've
Mm.
really consciously stopped doing that.
Busy doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily mean you're successful. You could have a whole bunch of stuff that you're still struggling with, and that
yeah,
you're busy. Oh my word. Do you think that we think that busy is success in business because it's in the word business? Like in order to
could be.
be successful in business, it could be because it's in the word. I'm overthinking it a little. Here we go. But yeah, I think that it's the same thing. We need to stop associating just being busy with being successful, because that's my version of success is like, oh yeah, I took Friday off because I could. What advice would you give to your younger self on this business owner journey and crafting the life that you want while approaching this whole shift in everything as a woman?
That's a loaded question. There's a lot to unpack there. What advice would I give? I would say just enjoy. My dad always used to say, life is a journey, enjoy the ride. So
Mm.
I think enjoy it. Um, some things will be successful and some won't, and there's no shame in changing course, right? Or you should basically you should pivot if you need to. And I think we, especially my generation, were raised to think that you study one thing and that's what you do. And I mean, I'm the typical example. I studied, that's what I did, studied dietetics. 20 years later, I'm still a dietitian, but I did pivot within my career and I tried other things within that scope. um and yeah, kind of just be excited about it, because there's always a new chapter ahead. Even so for you, the having, if that's on your in your plans to have kids one day, that does, like, life changes dramatically and spectacularly, and just to enjoy it and to know that on the other side, there's still this whole career in front of you, if that's what you want. Not every woman wants that, or not every person is, that's not everyone's dream, but there's so much more on the other side. So just to enjoy every phase, I guess, for what it is. We're capable of a lot more than we give ourselves credit for, I think. The great thing about women, and it's, yeah, we're resilient. We make a plan. Everything doesn't have to be perfect before you start. So getting over yourself, like, you just start. You don't have to have the perfect website or the perfect setup or have all your resources perfectly worked out before you start, because that will always keep you back. And I was guilty of that. I was stalling for a long time, until the doctor that I work with said to me, "When are you going to start?" I now work with her, but I was like, I can't start yet because I don't have all my things ready. And she said, "When are you going to start? I've got all these women lined up to see you." And I went, "Oh, I just have to." I was sabotaging myself because I kept thinking, I don't have my website yet. I don't know this, I don't know that, and I just kind of closed my eyes and jumped. I just was just like, okay, I'm going to start, and I'm so glad
Yeah.
I did. And it was only 6 months later that got my websites through you, because I just didn't have the capacity for it at the time, but I knew I just had to start, right?
I read
Yeah.
this quote actually just yesterday in a book I'm reading. It said, "The perfect is the enemy of the progress." And I think that
Yes.
sums that up so well, is that you strive for perfection so much to the point that you never actually start or get moving or get going. And so you just never really progress. And in order to progress, you need to take that first step. And it is messy. I mean, even with this podcast, I would have loved to have the whole formal setup and all the fancy equipment and lighting and everything. But I feel like the conversations need to be had before I got to that point, and it'll come, it'll get there. No one, or
Will
very
come.
few people, start off with
No.
the perfect setup. And we still need to progress. So it is possible as well. I think that at least something, a conversation that I have with often is people are at that point in their life, but now they're nervous to take a new step or change direction or pivot, especially going through everything that they're going through now, like understanding their bodies again. And I think it sometimes holds them back, but it's not only possible, but it's actually been done quite a lot. I was doing research in advance to this, and a lot of research indicates that people in their 40s, 50s, 60s have more innovation, more creativity, more mental capacity to create amazing businesses. And I've seen that in the work that I do with my clients, primarily working with people in perimenopause and menopause. And they're building amazing businesses, specifically in the health and wellness sector, well-being, mental health, nutrition, and all these spaces. Women are really coming into their own as business owners and as leaders in various fields. It's amazing to see.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I'm seeing that myself, and I think it's because we have the experience now, and we just have to trust ourselves. I think that's the big thing, to actually get rid of the imposter syndrome. That was real for me, and I think it's real for so many women, where we feel like when we do pivot, we're like, okay, but what now? And do I have the experience, and do I have the skills? And the answer is yes, because we have the life experience, and we have so much wisdom to bring to the conversation, um, and people really resonate with that. So I think, yeah, 100%, we can feel that we have a lot to contribute at this stage of our lives, for sure. And I wish that for every woman in her 40s to have that experience and journey of just loving, just love what you do, whatever that is.
Lizalet, thank you so much. I feel very motivated. Such a nice way for me. I'm starting my morning. This is your afternoon. But I'm feeling particularly inspired to get on with the day and see what we can do. Thank you for listening to the Mindful Business Podcast. If this resonates with you, please follow along, share it with a friend or a family member who you think could benefit from it. Leave a review, a comment, a question. I'd love to hear from you. What are you struggling with? What do you want to know about? Also, don't forget to take a break today. You're allowed to go at your own pace. See you next time.